Now, if yours is really wet, I would wait 5 or 10 minutes before starting the next step. You're gonna wanna do one area at a time. You don't need to put glue over the whole thing. And just like you did with the land, you're gonna do the same thing with the water. Now, any curved edges I find, I'm gonna just go ahead and place them around the circle, because those are gonna work best there. Now, when I get in close here, I'm gonna want to put my blue close enough to where it's touching or just barely overlapping on my green, but not covering it up completely. Now, see how my piece of magazine is pulling up? I'm gonna wanna make sure to push that down with my paintbrush, or you could use your finger. This is where it comes in really handy to have a paintbrush. You could also use the glue bottle. Glue bottle works great. Now be a little bit careful, because when everything is wet with glue, it does have a tendency to slide around. But you're just going to keep adding piece by piece. And sometimes you have to turn them one way or another, or get a completely different piece because it just doesn't really fit. And as I said before, you know, if it hangs over the edge, that's okay, because we are going to put paper all around our planet, so it's going to get covered up. So I'm going to actually I'm going to have this one hang over on purpose, just to show you that that's okay. The only thing about that is you want to make sure that you kind of remember where your boundary is. Like, you remember where the edge of the earth is going to be. Okay, so go ahead and fill in all of the water on your planet. And now you're going to need to find some black or really dark navy blue, and you're going to want to cut this up in a couple of different ways. So the first thing is we are going to need some curves, because parts of this are going to need to go around the earth. So I'm going to show you how to do just that. And I'm going to add some glue. I'm going to start down here actually. Now, remember how I said you needed to keep in mind if you went over the edge where the side of the earth needed to be? So you want to kind of go around, and if you're not exactly sure, guess about where the edge of the earth is supposed to be. Because now we're going to cover it up with our dark color. And you want to make sure that you are not placing any of this too far over the edge of your earth. Because once this is put on there, you're not going to be able to put anything else over the top to cover it up. And I'm going to go around the edge of my earth. Just laying them down in little sections. Until I can really define where the edge of the earth is. Now that you have your earth pretty much outlined with your dark navy or black color, now it's time to address the edges. So I would take your paper and I would cut it into not perfect square shapes, but shapes that have a so you can see a straight edge, and they can be a little bit bigger than the ones that you've been working with so far, but not huge. Nothing bigger than nothing bigger than a dime. Because if it gets too big, it starts to look a little silly. Now we are going to go around the edge of our the border that we put on the paper. Now my plan is to cut this out, so if I don't line it up perfectly, it's not a big deal. I'm just gonna do 2 edges at a time. And I would suggest, if you have a paintbrush, if you're using a paintbrush, to kind of smooth out the glue. Makes it easier to work with. Otherwise, your paper wants to slip around a lot. You could also use your finger and then go wash it off after you're done. Now I'm gonna take something with a straight edge and line it up about where my border edge is. Now I'm not gonna place these all right next to each other because then it just looks like you're laying down one paper on top of another and it starts to get really thick really quickly. So I'm gonna kind of spread them out. And just go down the side. Okay. When you have your border outlined with your dark pieces of paper, then you can start filling in your middle space. And you're just gonna keep using the same technique you've been doing, where you place a tile, glue it down, puts a little bit of glue on top, and keep overlapping until it is all covered. Once you've finished filling in your background, you're gonna wanna let this set possibly overnight and wait for all of the glue to dry. So put it somewhere that it can dry and lay flat, and don't forget to wash out your paintbrush if you used one, otherwise the glue is going to make it impossible to use ever again. And once this dries, I will then show you how to cut it down. We're almost done. Okay. Okay, now that it is dry, because you either let it dry overnight, or if you enlist the help of a grown-up or older sibling, you can actually use a blow dryer. Just be careful that you like put a towel underneath it and you don't put the blow dryer too close to your picture, and that'll actually help the glue dry faster, which is what I did. Now if you see any spots where you forgot to put paper in your background, now would be the time to glue them down, because for the most part your background should be completely dark. You can go ahead and cut it out. And there you go, Planet Earth. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that. Tune in next time for some more art at home.